And for more on this, we're joined by Kaeleboga Maphunye. He is a political science professor at the University of South Africa. Thanks so much for being with us here on France 24. So at this very critical moment, how do you assess President Ramaphosa's chances of political survival?
Very, very dicey and precarious, to say the least, because this is a crisis of national proportions, in the democratic era, for which the 2024 election, this is our next general election a few months from here, will be highly affected. So this is interesting times for the country, but also the country is on tenterhooks, is on edge, to say the least.
Well, let's talk specifically about these charges against him. So someone stole $4.5 million in U.S. currency that he had hidden inside of a couch at his farm. He never reported the theft, and there are questions now about where the money came from in the first place. He has not been very forthcoming about that. Why are these specific charges so problematic for him?
For the record, I would like to say that I've been listening to all the news channels since yesterday and even earlier. You mentioned, those millions of dollars. According to Cyril Ramaphosa, it's about $580,000. He's on record as having said that. And if you translate it to South African currency, of course, it might come to about 1 or 2 million rand. But in short, this is exactly the nub of the issue. There are so many loose ends because confirmation of the amount is one issue. The other issue is this parliamentary report that you've just quoted. It keeps having words like they might have violated, may have a case to answer. And in law, as well as even in politics, when you use such words, they become very, very problematic, especially when they might lead to an impeachment of a president. So currently, he is looking like he's digging in. 2 days ago, we thought he was going to resign. But now, since yesterday, as your report mentioned, he is digging in, and he says he's taking the report on the parliamentary report on review, legal review. He's going to talk to his lawyers. So therein lies the issue because there's so much at stake. We've got political factions also, that are opposed him, that are lining up. They want him to resign, and including the opposition. But the opposition is outnumbered. We'll see about Parliament tomorrow when it sits as to whether, the parliament can vote, for his impeachment. But because it never happened with the previous president, Jacob Zuma, his predecessor, I am very, very doubtful whether another impeachment again in the South African political context might happen this time around.
Well, so of course, Ramaphosa is denying any kind of impropriety here. But if he survives an impeachment vote, what kind of message do you think that sends to South Africans that corruption is tolerated within the government? Again, he denies that he did anything wrong.
Absolutely, particularly because he came on an anti-corruption ticket. In 2017, when he was campaigning the length and breadth of the country, he was promising South Africans that, no, I'm Mr. Clean. I'm going to clean the road. All this corruption, don't worry, I'm coming in, I'm going to sweep it. And of course, he is supposed to be a renewal president. But guess what? Now that he is also apparently caught with his hands in the cookie jar with these, thousands of dollars, whether you call them millions or thousands, at the end of the day, some are arguing that the letter and spirit of the law has been, tampered with or at least tainted, depending on how you look at it, because it has broken or it has flouted the country's financial, foreign currency rules and regulations of our National Reserve Bank. So to that extent, this actually compromises him as Mr. Clean or as the ethical president that he was supposed to be coming in since 2017.
Okay, we want to thank you, Kaeleboga Maphunye, political science professor at the University of South Africa. Thanks so much for your insight here and for being with us here on France 24.